Hey guys, welcome back to Ask Me How I Know. Today is a Monday mindset. So you just have just me all by my lonesome. We don't have any interviews, but I just wanted to take a moment to talk with you about quitting. Oh man, have you ever wanted to quit on someone? Yeah, you did totally hear that correctly. I said on someone. Don't worry, you're listening or watching to this all by yourself, so nobody's judging. I'll admit right now, I have wanted to quit on people. And I can also admit there have been times I have quit on people, and those have been some tough learning experiences. I mean, you might as well just be honest. That's my policy, right? Just be honest. Have you ever wanted to quit on something? Oh man, I think every Wednesday night when I go on a mountain bike ride, there are at least like 10 times where I just want to quit the ride because it's excruciating or challenging or something's going on, right? Well, I took, not just me, my husband and I, we took a family trip to Glacier National Park recently, and we had our kids join us on this fantastic adventure up Trail to the Sun Road. It's 16.2 miles up to Logan's Pass, and it's a steady incline. It's not like a vertical incline or anything like that, okay? So no turning us into CPS. There were other kids, maybe as we were going up, they were kind of tootling around the bottom. But anyhow, oh boy, it was not always a glamorous sight. The views, extraordinary. If you go to my Facebook page, in some proximity to listening to this, you'll see like the backdrop, the cover photo. It's a picture I took. I took that picture. It's amazing. But anyhow, yeah, you should pop over there and just check out the cover photo because the views are absolutely extraordinary. And this is coming from a girl that grew up rock climbing in Yosemite National Park. Okay, so that speaks volumes. Well, here's the deal. My son, he is fantastic. He would tell you at this point, he's about to turn 12. He would tell you that he is an inside person. In fact, we were sitting at the kitchen table and he sat across from my husband and I, and he literally said, he crossed his hands, in front of us, and he just kind of put his head down a little bit, closed his eyes, and he's like, Mom and Dad, I've got to tell you something. And we're like, okay. We're already kind of having one of those parenting conversations. Well, and if you're watching this on YouTube, seriously, I'm pretty sure this is exactly how he did it, except he didn't have a microphone in the way. I just need to tell you that things have changed, and outside is kind of outdated now. I mean, people are just, I'm sorry to tell you guys, but people are just more into the inside. Okay. So it was hilarious. We just died laughing. So the reason I mention this is that we're taking our son, who claims to be an inside creature, out on this wonderful adventure. And he wasn't really happy at many points. In fact, the entire uphill time, he was not really a very happy person. And he expressed that to me at different points. And at one point, as we're going by this, there's a rock wall and the water just trickles over. And at different points in the year when the snow's melting, you just get these gorgeous rainbows. Gorgeous rainbows. Again, one of those things, you go on Facebook, you probably find pictures of it. And so I took this picture of my son, and I managed to get some of the other writers out of the frame. And you could tell he's not happy. And it might be one of my favorite pictures because right around that same time I took that picture, he told me, like, I cannot believe you dragged me out here. I just want to quit. I want to turn around right now. And, he has me as a mom. So I'm doing all these like mindset type things. And let's talk about what the finish line looks like. I'm trying to just reprogram his mind. And he was just determined. And he told me, Mom, I am not going to feel bad one bit if we turn around right now and head down. Okay. This doesn't mean a thing to me. I said, okay, that's fine. But our family is going to stick together, and we're going to finish. And I did lots of coaching along the way, as did my husband, as did our friends that were with us. We all kind of swapped around with the kids a bit. And he said at one point he hated me. Oh, and anybody who has teenagers, you already know he's not quite a teenager, but those are some pretty harsh words, and it can definitely made me think like, okay, is this the right thing? And so there are times where we are either like my son and we absolutely just want to quit on something. And then we're times like where we're more like the parent that is going to cheer and help, maybe coax, maybe, right? We're going to do different strategies to help support somebody along because we know that they can make it. If they persevere, they can make it, and it's going to be a big win in their life. Well, I did do all of the coaching, all of the coercing, everything. He was terribly upset with me. And as soon as we made it up, oh, I do have to throw myself under the bus. This cyclist came beside me as I'm talking to my son, and I'm like, listen, we only have about, I think I said, we only have about 3 miles left. And I'll admit, I was totally estimating based off my experience. And I was totally off. And this really experienced older road biker comes up beside me, and he's like, hey, Mom, you want me to tell you the real distance? And I'm like, no, it's okay. He's like, I can just come whisper it to you. I'm like, oh. He comes up, rides beside me, and he says, you have 5 miles left. And I about died, not because of physically, I couldn't handle 5 more miles, but I'm thinking, I know my son can be successful, but oh man, this is really going to take everything to a whole new level. And at the very end of this ride is an incline. And so you're riding along and it's pretty steady. We actually had to cross an avalanche area. So we got off our bikes, and it's just a short, like 20 feet or something, but carry your bikes across the snowfield. And we're going up and up and up. And it was intense watching my son kind of suffer in this way. And I know that it was a temporary suffering. It wasn't like, okay, you're going to suffer forever. But as he's going through this, as soon as we get to the very top, it was almost instantaneous. We got to the top, we stopped, we regrouped with everybody. Totally different kid. He was happy as a clam. He was so excited. You would not have known that he was, just a train wreck wanting to quit and turn around for the previous, let's just say 14 miles. And I learned so much from this, from just watching him, because sometimes we can learn a lot about ourselves through other people's experiences, right? And so often, especially when we're coming near the end of something, we just want to quit. It's hard. We're tired. If it's not your muscles that are exhausted, your mind's exhausted. There's so much going on at the end of a project, right? And it doesn't matter what it was. So I just want you to think how you feel as you near, not I'm not talking about the last quarter of a mile before a finish line, right? I'm talking about that one section. Let's just say you had 4 laps around a track. I'm talking about lap number 3. You're almost to the finish line, but you're feeling depleted. That kind of feeling. And then think about what it feels like when you're on your way out, when you're at that turnaround. He was so elated and so excited. And he and I both love speed, and we love flying downhill. And let me tell you, as soon as we started going downhill, he could not contain that boy. He was singing. He was up on his bike. He was, doing little tricks and just having the time of his life. It was literally one of those light switch moments. But I had to endure also. And I had to know what I was about. And I had to know 100% that what I was doing was going to help him out. As a person, I was confident this is going to be very helpful for him. Those type of physical experiences that demand so much of us have a tremendous tendency to reshape who we are from the inside out. It's not just this physical experience, but it's a mental ability that we unleash. And it was amazing. So I learned a lot on that. And I'm wondering how much you've learned through different elements when you've wanted to quit. If he would have quit, he would not have been able to enjoy that downhill. But some cool things happen because not many kids go up and ride this ride. And now he's relating to some other experienced riders in a different way. And he kind of got a little respect. And I think he kind of got a little happy for himself, like, oh, I did something. When you persevere, you do great things. Don't ever quit. Don't give up. The moment when you want to quit, that's the defining moment right there. That's that moment where you say, okay, I'm going to stick this out because I know great things come when people persevere. I'm glad I persevered. I'm so happy that that my husband and I and our friends worked to to cheer him on and sometimes to honestly just speak very truthfully with him. Because there's all of that. It all comes out. We're all growing along the way. So as you are considering quitting, don't. I could have quit on him as a human being, even as his mom. I could have just quit on him and I could have said, sorry. You know what? You just do your thing. And there were times where I gave him personal space. I could see, and sometimes we need that. So I'm not talking about those times where you say, hey, I totally get it. He did not want to be around me, and he and I were riding buddies for a while, and he didn't want to be around me. So I said, don't worry. I said, I'm not offended. I'm not hurt. I totally understand. I'll just go up here a little bit. You do your thing. Okay. And sometimes we have to let people work things out, and that can be really uncomfortable. If you can, cheer somebody on. And if you feel like quitting, just don't. Just don't. If I think about biking, I think one of my friends just says, just keep pedaling. And I think if I stop pedaling, I'm not going to go anywhere. But if I keep pedaling even just a little bit slowly, I'm going to get somewhere. So if you're thinking about quitting means stopping and staying where you are. Is that where you want to be? Do you just want to stay right where you are? You don't have to race. You don't even have to sprint. So instead of quitting, if you're feeling like quitting, would you just slow down? It's okay to slow down and catch your breath. It's okay to slow down and regroup. But I'll tell you, when I'm out cycling and I stop, oh my gosh, the lactic acid builds up so fast in my legs. And then when I try to get going again, it is so much more difficult to get going. And sometimes it takes a long time. But if we don't stop, if we just slow down, we'll get there. Okay, so I'm not sure how much of that, sometimes I really get into my biking world a little bit, and I hope that makes sense to everybody that's listening. I hope that reaches your heart and encourages you, and if you can, pass this along to somebody else so that they can be encouraged. But just remember, quitting means stopping, and having to restart is much more difficult than keeping even the smallest amount of momentum going. So never, 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 never quit, never give up. I'm pretty sure that's a quote that I've had on my screensaver for a million years from one of my friends who's a great example of that. So today I wish you the best. I hope that you just slow down if you need to slow down. And if you've been in that slow mode, don't be afraid to recharge. And if you need to cheer somebody on, always. You can never use too many happy, kind words to anybody in the world. Until next time, go find your freedom. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Me How I Know. My guests are the most humble successes, so be sure to show them your appreciation by rating this episode 5 stars, which sounds silly, but let's be real. Ratings, likes, and shares, they take no time at all, but make all the difference in the world, if only to boost morale. Also, since I don't spend time on the how and why they got into investing, be sure to check out the show notes to get to know more about today's guests, including other podcasts they've been on that has a more traditional format that will give other details about their investment journey. It'll also tell you things like the most influential person in their life and what they're reading right now, as well as how to connect with them. And please, subscribe and rate Ask Me How I Know so it reaches other listeners like you. Until next time, go find your freedom.